straight out. There's no ifs, buts, ands about it.
Okay, so let's get this.
Slow up this process.
Okay, so let's get this stream started now. We're going to cover Bitcoin for the weekend, and you know, just cover some interesting topics. It's only going to be a short 10-minute video, so let's go. So we're going to start on the 4-hour chart, and we will start just here. Now, quite simply, we've got this you know, very clear head and shoulders pattern here. Now, just jumping right in. Okay, so the last signal coming up around here, okay, and we had the dip outside of the RSI band. We had the signal with the MACD crossover off this particular chart setup, and then we had some moves up. So the move was up to about 43k there, and you know, from there we've you know, almost had a big downside move. And you know, these downside moves, so first things first, this downside move, okay, this doesn't look good at this particular point. You know, if I replay the chart to here, for example, you know, this does not look good. Okay, this looks like it broke down, you know, below its area there, and you know, we're going to serious lower boundaries here. But when we look at the RSI here, you know, we've got divergence. So the first thing is we've got that first divergence, but we've got this particular second divergence, a bigger divergence, and this is something that I was waiting for. Is the RSI poke out, you know, poking its head out, and then we go to a new lower boundary, but then we make this divergence. This is higher, and then this is a clean example of you know, perfect setup for me. So then we got that divergence print. So you know, moving forwards, we reacted to that back above the Trendmaster 2 1.0, and you know, that was very nice. Went off to new highs, but at this point, okay, just at that high, let me just rewind that. So at this point in time, you know, we've moved up, we've made a high here, okay, and then we make one more high, and we're struggling on this RSI here. You know, we're running out of steam. Next candle, shooting star, a little bit of a problem there, and that's as you can see, that's a clean divergence. But the problem is we haven't poked outside the RSI, so you know, I'm not really expecting a large move down, you know, or some sort of huge you know, crash. And we'll talk about some more details in a moment, just bear with me. But you know, we've had this poke out up here, we've poked out, we've pushed down, and you know, this is a move down. So at this point, you know, we've had this divergence, and then you know, after the candles moved, we've had the MACD cross, and you know, there's something I want to just make clear is this last candle, okay, this was the move, okay, this move. So the MACD crossed, you know, potential trade entry, boom. So now we are pretty much at this point where, you know, we're looking like we're forming a head and shoulders pattern. Okay, so we've got this kind of level here, we've got this shoulder 1, shoulder 2 and the head, we've got the divergence printed, okay, we've got this you know, almost like a trend line here. It's let me draw a new trend line here because it's going to be a bit clearer. Okay, and whenever I do the trend line on on these types of lagging indicators, we need to make them nice and thick, because sometimes they can be a little bit, yeah, and sometimes when you've got a thin line, and you know, well, let's make it thin. Let's see if we can explain this a bit clearer. So if you see there, if I'm treating this as a trend line and we've got this little break, you can't really enter off this anyway. So okay, so yeah, trend line. So this is you know, moving upwards. We've got the head and shoulders pattern here. We've already had a push up to collect these orders and then force it down. So you know, it's like a case of, as this moves up, people are like, hang on, no, I'm not having that. We need to get in. So the price pushes lower, they get in, and then the price forces up. Not to mention a kind of Ritchie pattern happening here. You know, we come down into an area, we, you know, make this type of business and then shoot up, shoot back down, scoop up the orders, and then we're gone. Okay, so the only other thing is the possible retracement. So we've got this particular retracement set up here, 78.6 level. Let me just remove that off there. So we've got the 78.6 level, looking good. Okay, so that's that. We do have this MACD as well, you know, moving up. It is the weekend, and you know, this will be moving back up like so, but you know, still looking nice. Okay, so moving onwards to the next chart. Let's just have a look at the 1 hour Trendmaster. You know, the 1 hour Trendmaster is just, it's just devastating, man. You know, we got that exit there, and you know, amazing trade. Now I just want to talk about what's happening here, because we're, as this move comes down, you know, we're having this sharp, the Trendmaster's following the sharp downside move. So if we treat this as the fib setup here, okay, we just label this up, and then we've got this level just here. Now the move here is clean, you know, it's a nice clean uptrend, and we caught it on after the first drive. So you know, as this comes up here, we're resting on this cloud, moving up to new highs again, resting on the cloud, up to new highs. Okay, bam, down. So we've come down and we've tested this lower boundary, and then we're back above, and then forced up. Okay, so at this point, you know, as we've moved down, we're coming back up, retested that lower boundary, moved down. But as that moved down, look at that, it's reacted to the 61.8 there. Okay, so that tells me this fib setup could be on. You know, but we've reacted off the lower boundary again and moved lower. So we're at this point now where we're kind of making this triangle shape down on the 78.6 level. So we're down at this point, and you know, the reason why we're making this triangle shape is because we're down at these lower boundaries, and the, you know, this, let me move this out of the way now. If you just look at that lower boundary line, that wave, you know, it's almost like sticking to it. So as this wave comes down lower, this is flattening out until it gets inside, and then it's gonna, you know, almost use this cloud momentum to bounce back up to the upper side. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So it's kind of let's look for an example, kind of like this. Okay, so it moves down, and then it's following it until it gets inside, and then and then it starts to kind of move back up to the upside. Hopefully we won't get this type of move though. It's going to be something like this. Okay, so that's what we've got on the trend master. You know, we do need to watch here because we are kind of locked in there, and you know, any moves to this downside, I'll expect that level to react. So if we do get that downside move, you know, we'll be keeping an eye on that. But we already had that move down, look, and the hammer's kind of reacted to it, so we'll see what happens moving forwards. So that's a 1 hour trend master, and then let's just wrap up on the final chart here, because this is just looking fantastic. It's the USDT dominance. So on this right hand side, if we just look at this, okay, so we've got one shoulder there, another shoulder, and then a head. Okay, now we've got the same thing happening on the Bitcoin chart. If you look at the left, we've already talked about it. So just once again summarizing, coming down into an area, make the shoulder, go lower, scoop the orders. We've moved up. Okay, this move has forced the price up into new territories, breaking out the range, and then we've decided to come back down into that area. And you know, let me just make this clear, okay? Let me just make this move, okay? What has initiated this move? We're talking about what the US government are doing with their you know, monetary policy, attacks with their language in their speeches, you know, basically talking about there's a recession coming. We've got the World War, we've got the COVID, we've got everything's been thrown at this, and you know, this is the move that it's got. So at this point, you know, we're 10th of April, and we've had a lot going on. Okay, so it's going to take something serious for this to go any lower, you know, a serious problem in the world. Okay, so with that being said, okay, if we look at the right hand chart, this is the chart which has been gaining all the strength. So if we look at the Trendmaster 1.0, you know, at this point here, 5th of April, we've turned around and we've started to move up. And you know, looking at the left, 5th of April, okay, so the switch in the Trendmaster to black is the same where the USDT dominance switched. Okay, great. So you know, money's been moving into USDT, and it's got to this this point in time. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to mark this chart up just for a second. So we've got this, you know, it's moved up into this point, it's broke down, come back up. So it's kind of finding its feet with this range here, and it has broken a little bit lower, as you can see here. So you know, it's topped out at this point, taps into this liquidity there, and then moved down. So there is like a lower area here, so I think it's about here. But if we look, this is the upper boundary where it's pushed up, and then there's an upper ceiling, and then it's come back down and it's trapped into here. So my point is that, you know, the money has shifted from alts, the money has shifted from Bitcoin, and it's shifted into USDT. Now as this move's come down, okay, it's flattened out here, and then it's come back up for a, you know, a retest of this broken trend line. And if we take this upper boundary here, we'll start there, you know, 70.5, one spike up to the 78.6 level, you know, that is clean and clear. And this is how I would treat most charts. So we've got this you know, head and shoulders pattern on the broken trend line, and up at the 78.6, you know, perfect entry level for the downside move. So, you know, possible projection could be down to here, and if we scoop out, we can potentially see there's you know, there's an area here, okay. So if we track this across, you know, it's pretty much at that 23.6 level. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't go lower, but if this starts to move down now, especially past this point, then we can see or expect, you know, Bitcoin to do the opposite. Okay. Alternatively, if you flip the chart, it would you know, they almost look identical here. Okay, so coming back out, I think it might be helpful to just talk about this divergence on the RSI. Okay, so at this point, okay, with the head and shoulders, we've got this divergence, so we'll just label this on as well. This is very, very close divergence, okay, but you know, at the end of the day, this has moved up into new territories, and the RSI hasn't even made it out there, so I'm going to include that. Okay, we'll include the, so we'll just label that. So that's one divergence, and then the second divergence is following, just there, and the following one just there. Okay, so we've got two divergences, and then we've broke lower, okay, broke to a lower area, and then come back up and retested. So, okay, we'll take this spot, okay, and we're going to do this on a mini scale, so we're pretty much something like so. Probably getting a little bit messy here. Let me rewind. And what we can do is we can do this on the 1 hour chart. So we've got a fib measurement box. We'll measure this. So really, all eyes on this particular level here for now. So, you know, you can keep your eye on the BTC chart, or you can keep your eye on this chart. It doesn't really matter. But you know, we're on the MACD. We're looking like we're running out of steam. We are moving upwards, but we could be looking like we're running out of steam here, and we're getting ready to almost fall off. Okay, so that's very important. So I think that's it. That's wrapped everything up. There's nothing really out, nothing I can really see worth mentioning. So I'll leave these charts here for a moment, and we can you know, almost prepare for the next move here. Everything's looking okay. So just to finalize, you know, we're keeping an eye on this Fibonacci USDT dominance You know, pretty much keeping an eye on these 4 charts here across the weekend, and